This is Stronger Than My Father with Marcus Manise.
Welcome to another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast, your most trusted podcast that's centered around restoring fatherhood in America. I am your host, Marcus Manise Sr. I'm thankful for an opportunity. Happy New Year. I hope 2025 can be your year. So Happy New Year. So I have to thank my producer, Mr. Jim McCarthy, for producing my podcast for nearly 3 years now. So if you're in need for a podcast producer, or if you just have some questions about recording a podcast, I encourage you to reach out to my friend Jim McCarthy at jmvos.com. Let's go to work. My guest, this is his third recording with me, who I've called my big brother, accountability partner, and a guy who's just a solid guy. He's the author of, he said, a book that you can read. Two bathroom breaks is the mindset of successful thinking. Right. Got it. Very good book that helps you think and, like I said, and be successful. This guy here has an incredible story. We're gonna talk about it, and I don't know what else we're gonna talk about, because I never know I'm going to go with Troy. So let's y'all welcome my guest, Mr. Troy Smith. Thanks for coming back, man.
I'm glad to be back. I'm excited about it. I'm just glad that that energy octave went up just a little bit when I came. So I like that. Just a tad bit. I like that.
Got to bring the energy, man. Got to bring the energy, man.
Definitely.
So let me ask you to start out. I'm doing this now with every guest. When you hear the word fatherhood, what comes to mind?
Paying bills. look, fatherhood. No, truthfully, being there.
Okay,
being there, man. My, a lot of people know my story. Grew up single parent household. And then at one time, I thought that was not important, Marcus. Because when you grow up in the inner city, everyone has the same story. So it ended up being like that's what everyone sounds like. So you start thinking, what my story may not be unique. And just like a fingerprint, your story is unique. You know.
Wow.
So when I think about fatherhood, I think about being there, because my father wasn't there in the most important time. Let's be honest about it. I try to be nice. He was not there.
Okay.
But the fact is, I always made myself available to try to be around him. And that's what's interesting about it. I can be the jealous and upset that person, but I've always wanted to be around my dad. So I used to just try to find him and get around him. My mother or family members would try to joke about you. I know you're going to find out where your daddy at. You know, he would move here. I go over there and say what's up to him. Move over there. I find out where he's at. Because I just always want to be around. So when I think about fatherhood, I think about being around, being available and present.
Well, I feel like I want to deal with marriage. So me and you both married. We want to deal with fatherhood and marriage.
Let's deal with it today.
And we're going to deal with it today. I've been wanting to do this with you for a long time.
Let's do it.
Well, who taught you the skills of what it takes, in your mind, what it takes to be a successful husband, a successful father?
Nobody.
Come on. Somebody had to teach you.
What I'm saying is because since I didn't have anyone to look at as an example, I just decided to make sure I'm going to be something opposite of what I've seen, which was nothing.
Okay. So you have to learn how, like.
Nothing.
No
Bill
blueprint.
Cosby back before he did what he did.
Nah.
Bill Cosby. When you think about it, when I think about the fact of having a father around, or being showing about having a good marriage, my brothers and I always said we're gonna be opposite of what we seen. My mom had when she was 15 years old, so we always talked about the fact that we just want to be different. And literally, I mean, people I've seen before that was married before they were divorced, like coaches and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Well, when people ask me that, I always say I was lucky.
Yeah.
I watched Dad.
Yeah.
Dad never talked much. You've met my dad. And I just watched everything that he was doing. Yeah. So when I became of age and I became a father, first thing in my mind said was like, do what Daddy's done.
There you go.
Because I've heard guys say, man, they had to read a book. And they had to talk to people, because I didn't grow up with a father to help me, become a man and know how to take care of a family. So when we dive into marriage, do you think that's some of the reasons why a lot of marriages don't work, because the man hasn't been raised by a good father or had the tools it takes to be able to take care of his family?
Well, the people I did see that had a daddy, they was worse off than I was.
No,
I'm serious. I'm just telling you. I know you. One time you said you were sheltered. The people I seen that had a daddy at time were worse off than I was, because they sometimes wanted to be where I was at.
What?
They wanted to be in the hood. So it's like, why'd you want to do that? Why would you want to leave this? Believe me, man, it's and anyone that's listening to this can probably relate to that. If you used to seeing something a certain way, you start wondering like, why in the world? Like you see a kid that's from the suburbs, they're like, why you want to be hood? It's like they want to have something they don't have. So they try to do something. I don't know
what the mentality of that is.
It's being not smart. That's what it is. That's what it is. But the thing is that when it come down, I just knew in my heart of hearts, I'm going to be a good dad. Mm-hmm. I always knew that.
So now you have a son and a daughter.
Yes.
Let me start with wife. And that's
where it all starts from.
It started from wife. All right. And
you need them to make the baby. You gotta have a wife to make the baby. Ain't that right, Jim? Unless you're doing something else. But.
Unless you're doing something else. Yeah. What does it take now after you've been married? You got 20 years in?
16.
16. I got 23. What are some tips to try to keep that? I guess the fire burning between the because sometimes I've heard people when you have kids, you can't live for your kids. Mm-hmm. And that's a habit me and my wife has gotten into a lot. Mm-hmm. Where you always told me take time for date nights, take time for yourself. Why is it so important that you don't live for your kids?
Because your kids are their own identity. That's what I think. Their own identity. That's why I named my son Troy Duke Smith, not Troy Manson Smith, because of the fact I want him to develop his own identity.
You didn't name him clean,
I just named him Troy Duke Smith. That's why we call him Duke.
Yeah,
because I want him to be so he don't have to ever grow up to say to follow he gonna be in my. Hopefully, I set the example where he can fall in the shadow of doing what he needs to do. But I want him to be greater, but then also have his own identity. So I don't think you need to live through your kids because your kids not you. They're a part of you, but they're not you.
Because I was told that if you don't stay close as your relationship, when your kids get grown, leave the house, you ain't gonna know each other.
Even if y'all best friends when you grow up, they're gonna be somebody different anyway.
No, I'm talking about your spouse.
Oh,
your spouse. Like, if you always doing everything for the kids, you're not, doing date nights. You're not taking time for yourself, saying, "Hey, we're gonna drop the kids off. It's just gonna be me and you." Why is that so important for a man and a woman to do that in marriage and not just so much live just taking care of the kids and forgetting about yourselves?
My wife and I think I would say we're different, but we're not really different if you're in a successful relationship, right? Because who's the judge to say it's successful at all? No, unless you, no one can really say it's successful besides you guys.
Yeah.
My wife and I were always together a lot anyway. We're friends.
Okay.
So before our kids were there, we're doing the same thing. When our kids are not there and they're going to college or whatever, we're going to do the same thing. Also, our kids are going to be with us still. We're a tribe.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind taking my kids with me. I don't mind taking my wife with me. Mm-hmm. And I think that to answer your question, I think the make sure, the reason why people say make sure that you keep the thing going, get date nights and all that stuff, it's just to make sure your relationship stays strong. But if your relationship already strong, or y'all already argue about everything anyway, or y'all laugh about everything, y'all cool with everybody, with each other, no matter if the kids there or not, y'all gonna make sure the fire stay going.
Because I hear a lot of people say, I heard a lot of people say that it's very hard raising kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because somebody out of the marriage got to think of date nights. So now, I said it on another podcast, Toya told me do not talk about her other kids on these podcasts.
Too late. Too late.
When she call, you tell her that.
Yeah.
I think of let's go somewhere and eat for date night. She don't think about that.
Right.
And I'm thinking, why don't you think about let's go somewhere?
Just like your wife say, hey, what you want to eat? And you said, what you want to eat? And then they don't tell you nothing. Then you get the wrong thing. That's not what I wanted. Well, you didn't tell me that's not what you wanted.
That's when the arguments mostly start.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out.
Then I don't say nothing to you.
Right. See, yeah, cold shoulder strong. But what they say, men are spaghetti, women are waffles. They got different compartments. So trying to figure out, once you think you figured it out on one end, you find out you didn't.
Yeah.
Once you think you got it, so, I got it now. Find out I was way wrong. So that's 20, 30 years in marriage.
That's just because my dad, my parents, they've been married 53 years. My mom always told me, because I see we have the society of strong, independent women. Mm-hmm. I'm independent. You can't tell me nothing. And
you by yourself.
I think that's centered around fatherhood. I think you didn't get enough hugs from your daddy. Is that true or false on that part?
I'm not one.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Hey,
you get enough hugs.
Maybe a female. Sometimes because women are more sentimental or emotional. Maybe they need to get. You can tell when they ain't had enough hugs. But then I try to give you a hug all the time. You be trying to run from it. So
you know what? I said that in the last podcast. My dad was not a hugger.
Right.
So for me, it's when you're trying to do something, and my brain is one center, which I need to work on. That is okay. Daddy didn't hug. Well, I don't need to hug nobody. And my wife is mad about that. She was like, you don't say I love you enough because my mind saying I didn't
She gonna
dig
get you.
it.
Tell you, she gonna get you.
Probably
She
will.
gonna break you off.
Probably will, man. Probably mess me up. Probably leave me over this. I don't know. Man.
No, but it's true.
Because we didn't hug. We
Right.
didn't hug growing up.
Right.
They didn't hug us growing up, and
Right.
we didn't care.
Right.
But now in today's society, if you don't hug, if you don't say I love you, then you don't love you.
Because
I'm
everybody's
like,
soft.
No, everybody being soft.
People been soft.
I told Toy, I take very good care of you, and it's not anything that is that I'm just not that individual to be and I wish my dad was one of the real, because I asked my mom, man. My mom said, "I didn't care about that." So
different generation too, though. Different generational time.
Me and MJ don't hug my boys. I always do fist bump, or I grab them by the head and rub them on. That's just who I am.
You're like, come on, dude, it's enough, man. I do the same. Look, my son and daughter, my whole family, we hug a lot.
Okay.
And sometimes it can get a bit much.
Okay.
Especially my son. Like, I'm like, all right, that's enough. Like my daughter, I come here, all right, but my son, I'm trying to make sure he know.
Yeah.
It's okay not to hug. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you hug, sometimes you don't. But he'll get up on you, but we all love. We love and hug all the time. But do you know how significant a hug is, though? It breaks down all type of barriers. It breaks it down where it's like a sigh of relief when somebody hugs. So when I give hugs, that's why people say at times, now since COVID, I really don't like giving a lot of hugs. I got really like it. That breaks down a whole barrier, a whole lot of barriers where it's like, man, I feel, I don't know how many times I gave a man a hug. I said, pause, whatever. And I gave a man a hug and they break down. It's like a father hugging them. Where it's like, oh man, I did. And they start crying. Cause
I ain't never.
I know you didn't know, but I'm just saying they because it's a sign like I'm safe.
Yeah,
it happens like that.
Well, I just didn't. Like I said, I hugged my dad when I graduated from TSU. Only time I can remember hugging dad.
Oh yeah.
I think he shows his love by helping you.
Yeah, for sure.
And when we was working on my car last month, we were putting brakes on, and that's love for me.
Oh yeah.
My dad. At 74, he still wanted to be dad, and I'm still the young little kid. And I'm like, Dad, I can change the brakes. I got it. Get on out the way. I can help. I'm like, Daddy, you're 74. I got it. No, I get it. I do the first one. You do the second one. You got to see what I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Still dad.
That's still daddy.
But it wasn't no hug at the end. Like, Daddy, I appreciate. No. It was just, I see you later. It wasn't no handshake or nothing. That's just who I am as an individual. So I think that in marriage, what's important, why it's so important for men to hug their wives, and how often, man?
I do. My wife and I had a little discussion. I don't call it arguments or fights. We had a discussion this morning before I got up here. I still before I left, gave her a hug, said I love you, kiss on the forehead, because the last thing you want to do is to leave the earth in the time that you had an argument or something like that. Or you be or like my kids, I give a fist bump, give a hug, or whatever. We normally every time before we go somewhere. I remember one of my friends, a couple we close with. Every time my wife and I get ready to depart, we always say, love you, hug. It's just natural. So then this dude, my boy, wife tried to do the same thing. So we get up out of here and try to be all soft because they around. Because if you don't do it consistently, but if you don't do it consistently, nobody trusts, nobody believes it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody believes that. So, and even though I wasn't around my dad a lot in regards to those sentimental moments, he's always been affectionate. He always gave me a hug, say love you, love me. I mean, my mom and my dad both are very. They want to make sure my mom made sure we were loved and appreciated and loved on. My dad, that's who he is. So he give Doug hap, love you son, blah blah. That's before I do what I do, who I am today. He did it since I known him.
Cause I've heard a lot of people say in marriage that you should hug your spouse or say I love you on a regular basis. And my dad love was just through action.
Yeah, but we still remember.
It wasn't through what's the name.
But remember, generational. At a time before his dad, he probably didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? His dad, even though his dad was around, but they worked all the time. They really showed no affection.
He didn't talk.
Then they go down to another level that he actually may have said hi to you and say, love you, son. And then and he showed it through this type of way. This generation is different where, like my generation of saying, hey, I'm going to show that affection, love, and all that, MTV kids. Then the generation below us, we got to make sure they they got something going on. We got to make sure they show affection the right way. But
you got to because you're raising sons and daughters like me. So because my son's 16, he's gonna get to those feelings and stuff. And that's the thing I am worried about raising the son is what do I tell him when it comes to dating?
Oh,
when he starts dating, do I let my past rub off on him?
What was your past? Tell me what your
I ain't
past.
going to do that.
Yeah, you going to do it today?
Not doing it.
Because you're going to do it, Mark. How you going to
not-
ask me the question? You ain't going to do it. Go ahead,
Because
tell me
you the
your
guest,
past.
man.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about
You know
my,
what?
I'm not going to talk about
what my mama
personal.
told me back in the day? Strap up. Make sure you got that thing on there, the Jimmy on there.
I will say this about relationship. I will say this. My dad, when I had now, because she may hear this podcast one day, and I don't want to.
You better go ahead.
I'm not saying that. Okay. I will say this.
Okay.
I will say this is my dad told me after I had my first heartbreak. Okay. I will say that.
And
you gonna tell me my dad didn't give me the best advice. He said, "Son, never get too close to a woman where she leave you. You do something silly."
Oh no, your dad was on point. Don't be a simp. That's what your dad was saying. Don't be simp. Don't be a simp.
So
he said, "Don't be a lame." That's what your daddy said. In his own word, don't be a lame.
And at the time, he was like, "Son, you don't need to date one girl. Date multiple women."
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Till you find the right one.
Old school.
So I never got close to no women because Daddy said don't do it. Daddy said don't get close. So you go out, date, and whatever happens, happens. And I just never got close to nobody.
Same here.
And then I ran into a stalker, and then I just got married. My mom came to me.
Oh, Toya stalker?
No, Toya wasn't a stalker.
Oh, okay.
No, Toya killed me saying that.
He said I ran into a stalker.
I ran into a stalker. Mom scared me with God.
Okay, yeah, I believe that.
Mom came in the room one day and she said, "Son, I didn't raise you to mess with a whole bunch of women." And she said, "If you keep playing with God, He gonna get you." So at that time,
that scare you.
You get scared.
Yeah.
So you sit in the room.
Your daddy talking about go sow your royal oaks. Your mama talking about you better keep them oaks.
And I was just scared, and I just said, you know what? I'm gonna get married and forget about messing with any other women. But my mom scared me even before I got married. I said, "Mom, will my marriage work?" And my mom said, "Marriage is like rolling the dice. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose." I'm like, well, why in the crap I need to get married then if I'm gonna get, so that's how the thing with dating for me has happened. And I think just I never got close to anybody.
Right.
And it's just because of I don't want to deal with future pain.
Right.
And so I said I don't allow myself to get close, because if I get close and something goes wrong, then you got to deal with pain. So I just don't want to deal with it. So I think just my relationship with you, I was like, all right, man, this guy's really legit. I'm gonna. So I can't even name 5 solid people, friends on my hand. I'm cool with people, but like when I'm in my lowest point, who do I call?
Ghostbusters.
I'm through with you. You ain't gonna put my music in Troy. I knew you gonna come in here and mess with me today, man. So let me ask you this: raising children.
Hold on, before you go to that,
go ahead.
So how often do we do the same thing of trying to avoid not just relationships with the opposite sex, but with friends? Like you just mentioned, like I didn't get close for a long time. I didn't get cool with anybody because I knew I didn't want to go through that situation where we got to have a fallout. Yeah, that's when you can really test and see how a relationship is, when someone makes somebody mad. Yeah. So when you say, "Oh, Troy, this," that, I said, "Well, till I make you mad," you know what I'm saying? Because that's when you really find out where somebody is, till they get mad and say. And I used to hate going through that, so I used to just not talk to nobody like that. Like I'd be cool with everybody, but never have a serious conversation about anything where it's deeper than rap, as they say. It's deeper than I just keep it all surface until one of my friends, my best friend, brother to me, Arvid, he said he was going out to California, going to grad school, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we was playing phone tag or something like that. I really wasn't trying to connect that much. Yeah. And one day, this guy that can complete my sentence for me. Mm-hmm. And he said something, and I said, "Oh, yeah, man, I feel you on that." He said, "But he ain't called me nothing like that. What's going on? Doing my thing. He ain't called me nothing like that." I said, "Man, dude, you probably was busy. I really ain't trying to get it now." And I said, "But you know what, man? You like a brother to me." He said, "Oh, we still on that? I'm still like a brother to you." And I thought like, oh, so now hold on. So he challenged me.
I ain't calling you no more after that.
I know, but the fact is, we done had. It's been times I try to cut them off. Mm-hmm. Delete. I'm a person that delete your number in a minute. Like, I'm one of them people that delete your number. Yep. If you don't call me back or something, but you ain't trying to be cool with me, I ain't cool with you no more. Yeah.
But, you just cut people off like that?
Man, my wife said you gotta quit doing it, because what happened is
you would tell me not to do that.
I had a phone, and then. Because I'm a busy person. Yeah. If I reach out to you on a multiple occasions, you don't call me back, I say, forget you then. I'm done. That's me. I'm going to answer my phone. I'm pretty cutthroat on that. But what I'm saying is, Arvin and I had a couple of situations like that to where it's like, I said, that guy's like a brother to me. Then when he corrected me and said, "Oh, I'm still like a brother." And that's when I said, okay. And that's like someone like him, like you, my boy Dre. Some people, I got a lot of good friends I'm close with. But it took a while to get to that point. Not just from and then my wife, poor thing, she done went through a lot of me not trusting. I never had nobody love me like she does, besides my mom as a female. So
I want to hit on that one.
And we had a, where I started seeing like, oh, she really does love me like that, like for real, for real. And I didn't trust it for a long time.
Wow, because I was like that, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wasn't really close to Toy till MJ was here, and I seen how much work it took for her to bring my first child to the world.
That make you really.
And I was different from that, but she ain't gonna tell you that. But I think for me is that when I look at trying to separate from what my dad's told me, that stuff still rides in my head. Those things still rise in my head a whole lot, where I can hear daddy words continue to come in my head a whole lot. So let me ask you this. So in your book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking, how do you utilize the material in your book to help you in your marriage?
I got 4 pillars in there: the importance of education, importance of appearance, the importance of relationships, and the importance of strategic planning. All that plays into every aspect of life. How I appear and carry myself, my wife, and I joke about it. She laugh at me about it, but I always call something called the brand. This is the Smith brand. When you see me or you see my wife, you should expect this as a brand. That's why we carry ourselves a certain way. And I don't even try to do it. It's just how we carry it. At first it was funny, but now she understands, like, oh, that's a brand. Like when you see me drive up, that's the brand I would expect Troy to be doing.
Yeah.
That's how I expect his family to look, all that stuff. Education wise, I educate myself to make sure outside of the classroom, I'm doing what I can as a person to be better. That helps me out of my marriage too. Educate myself and my wife every day. I'm learning all the time. And I thought I've had to figure out, I find out I don't. Same thing with my kids. I don't have them figured out. There's no playbook, no book that'll keep me in place to make sure that you got it all laid out. I don't. Planning. My wife and I got a plan all the time. For our kids, for ourselves, for what we're trying to do, who we're trying to be. Every year, I'm quite sure you're probably gonna do the same thing too. We're trying to figure out what 2025 gonna look like. So we plan some stuff.
Darn, I ain't done it yet.
But
that's important.
That's important.
Yeah.
And then relationships, who you surround yourself with, not just with your wife and kids, but who are the people that's outside the relationship that y'all in that's gonna keep y'all together, keep y'all strong. I got friends that's divorced and all that stuff that's going through a lot. I'm the one that they call me and tell me they're gonna go through that. I'm trying to keep y'all together, so you can't say nobody told me. A lot of these guys was at their wedding, with. I want to be the friend that when I'm in your wedding, I'm going to try to keep the union together. After I see it's not going, I did my part as a friend.
Yeah.
Then y'all make the decision from there.
Well,
relationships are important.
Well, I do like what you said. 2 things: developing a relationship and planning.
Yeah.
And have you seen just people? Because I didn't even think about sitting down with Toya and say, let's plan out what we're going to do for all 2020. I have never done that in 23 years. I need to sit down. And say,
it's like a GPS.
I didn't even think about that.
You got a GPS. You said, let's get in the car and just drive. No destination, nowhere to go. Just going.
I ain't think about that.
And then next thing you know, you're like, yeah, we're lost. Now wonder we're broke. We don't have no money.
Yeah.
We have nothing in play. And don't get me wrong, even if you got it planned, you still find out you don't have it together.
Well, but you saying it's important.
No, it's important. No, it's important to do. But what I'm saying is, even though, so you got to be able to expect, even if it doesn't come together, even though you got it written down, at least you had a roadmap.
Yeah.
You can still get lost with GPS.
Yeah.
Dang, I took the wrong turn.
Well, I'm going to talk to Toya during this Christmas, New Year break. Like, we need to really, really think about playing out what.
Yeah, maybe not the whole year, just a quarter. And take chunks, a month.
Yeah.
To a quarter, to 6 months, to a year, stuff like that.
Well, I think that's important, man. And like I said, I know you talk about the mind. I know you have your own series where you talk about different topics.
Yeah.
For mortgage.
Yeah.
I know you in the mortgage space. And then I know you do encouragement as well.
Right. That's the main thing. That's who I am. That's the brand.
But what made you start doing that? It's Moto, right?
Most Moto. Mindset of successful thinking. Moto is short for motivation. I want to. If I do, and I said this before, my goal in life is to inspire, encourage, and edify people that I come in contact with, to make their life better in the first 5 minutes before they met me. 5 minutes before they met me. So that means if I did my part by just showing up and your whole attitude changed in a positive manner, that's what I did my part.
No, you've done it, man. I've listened to you. I listened to your videos, and I was like, that's my man. I was like, why don't he have his own podcast?
I do.
Well, I know you say you did it with somebody else.
No. I've had a podcast I done took a break on. So Most Moto if you go on that page, Most Moto 365 on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe to that. We got we trying to get over 500 people. But I started interviewing series where I did just like this, set it up, interview people that's in that community. Community is very important too. Community, folks who you surround yourself with. It's not about getting all. I just want some. If I get some of the people that think like I do, that means we're going in the right direction. Some. All the time we think about doing too much and getting too many, and you don't have no relationship with people, you don't get to know people, and now you don't have a community.
Well, I didn't even think about that neither, because I'm an introvert. I just stay to myself. Kind of like what Dad done.
Well, but
I keep referring to that, and I gotta. People make fun of me saying, "Oh, you keep talking about with your dad, what you doing with your dad, with your dad," because my dad, he's in the country. That's where he likes to stay. He's just that kind of person.
It's good.
This is me coming out of a shell. If I wasn't doing this, I would be at home.
Yeah, you would.
Sitting at home.
You would. You would be at home. You would be. Yeah.
Because it's just who I am as an individual.
Right.
But I want to kind of be better going into 2025. And let's talk about that real quick. Why is it so important? Like when people make goals and dreams and stuff like that, I'm going to do better in 25. Why do people feel like the new year is going to be better for them? Well, you just don't really know. You
start over. When you can start over, you feel like, okay, at least I can start fresh. How many times we done broke a diet? We're going to say, on Monday, I'm starting over.
Yeah.
So it's Thursday. So that means you're going to go all ham through Thursday through Sunday, but then Monday you start over. Now, it's all about really starting at that moment. So you can plan starting today.
Don't even wait till 2025.
You don't have to. You can start planning for 2025 today.
Yeah, but I was always curious why people always say, I'm going to change in the new year. And then I've seen this like a lot of times at church and stuff like that. It's like they bash 2024. Like, it's just been a rough year for me. And, I'm like,
it has been, but you know what James say? The book of James talk about how we rejoice that we go through trials of many kinds because it perfects our faith.
Yeah.
So I don't regret anything I've gone through the experience. It makes me better to look forward to 2025. If you had a bad year, you're at the bottom, there's no way but up. Yeah. Can't go past the subfloor.
That's
gone. But you can go up. So the fact is, that's why it's good. Hey, I rejoice through all that stuff. I had do a Bible study every Saturday morning, and we was talking about this morning about just taking 15 seconds to think about all you experienced and gone through in 2024.
Yeah.
When you think about it, 2024 has been a long year of a lot of stuff, good and bad.
Yeah.
But when you actually go back and think like, man, I'm grateful for all that. I'm grateful for that the transformation, the growth, because it makes you better. It makes you better when you go to the next level.
You trained me on that.
We working with each other on that.
You have trained me well on like, hey, about trials and tribulations, stuff like that. It comes to make you strong. And like I say, in the business that I'm in, the nonprofit world, that you fighting for dollars every day because you fighting against 41,000 people in the state of Tennessee who has a nonprofit. And it seems like nonprofits just popping up every day now.
They are. Because y'all make it look easy until they get into it. No, seriously, right? They get into it and they're like, oh, this not nowhere near. How many people try to start a podcast? Yeah. Not knowing the planning, to get the people that you go to interview, the guests, setting it up. They say, oh, because Marcus make it look so easy, I didn't think about it. Like, you heard of Jordan. You heard of Jordan before, right? Yeah. You ever heard of The Last Dance?
Yeah, that's my favorite Netflix video.
I said it on purpose.
It's my favorite one.
But the thing about Jordan, he did a commercial that said, maybe I made it look too easy.
Yeah.
The 6 championships, all that. No one looking behind the scenes at what he did to get to where he was at. Yeah. And you got to see The Last Dance, see like this guy was a beast. Yeah. But it took a lot to get Kobe, all these people we see to be great. They didn't do it just to be doing it. Mm-hmm. They did it so well to where it made people like ourselves think, oh, I can be like Mike. Yeah. No, you can't. Oh, I can be like Marcus. No, you can't. No, you can't. You ever the late night talks we done had on the phone? Yeah. And Marcus talking about throwing the towel. Yeah. The next thing you know, he'll open the mailbox like, golly. The time when then we go back to a time, another tribulation to where it's like, man, I just what I need. God is what I need. But then you just stay focused and do what you're supposed to do. Next thing you know, you get checked for $20,000. Yeah. Because you make it look easy. They don't know what you're going through behind the scene. They just see what you see in the open.
Well, yeah, I think anytime you do anything, you're going to have trials and tribulations. Just even with us trying to redo this facility and do more for youth in the entrepreneurship space, trying to help fathers and stuff like that. When I walk through this building, it's quiet. You don't hear no kids no more. You know, it's like, it's weird to me now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, can we get to the next level? Can we get to this next phase? And that's what my dream is.
Mm-hmm.
And my dream, when I came to this building in 2015, I walked in there and I'd seen all gray walls and everything, not knowing that, hey, we can go in there and paint and change it up and do this and have kids and then get to our biggest level for COVID, 125 kids. So anything can be done. I think it's just, you know, you got to figure out a way, can you go through these different things? And that's one way you're great at. You're great as an accountability person to say, hey, Mark, you can do anything you want to do, man. You just got to stay focused and keep your mind on it. And that's why I feel like through your book, through all your motivation speaking, you have been that person that's motivated a lot of people. How do you use those things at your lowest moments?
Yeah.
All the things you tell everybody else, how do you use it at your lowest moments?
I learned that I'm no different from everybody else. Like I learned that I'm no different and I go through the same stuff or more. You just may not even know it. You know what I'm saying? But I sit back and think about, this is what I'm supposed to. I had a guy, so one time I went, did a Bible study. I did ministry in college. And I was going through Kroger one day and I was going through some struggling time. I was struggling. I'm about to go get on some, I was struggling. I don't think it's a PG show, but that night I was about to fall off the edge. When I said about strapping up, I ain't care about it. I was just going, I might go do some off the top rope belly wrestling. And this pastor called me and said, hey, Troy, hey, man, I understand you wasn't at your Bible study today. What's going on? You know, keep me accountable. I'm like, man, dude, I'm struggling. I'm struggling, man. I can't keep up with all that, man. I'm trying to live right, blah, blah. I want to go get up on these girls over here, do X, Y, Z. And you talk about a Bible study. I'm struggling today. What about me? What about me? Yeah. And he said, try to understand what you're talking about. I understand what you're going through, but you're a leader. So since you're a leader, you're held to a different caliber. You're going to go through what you're going to go through, but you need to get up and move forward. That's what he told me. I hung with the phone like, man, this dude, man, bump him. But
you know it'd been me if you was talking to me.
But as I got older, I started realizing the brand. I started realizing who I serve. I started realizing it's much bigger than you. So go through your stuff, go through your situation, call a friend, reach out to someone. Hey, I need, this is what's going on. I need some accountability. But when you actually got a different standard, you just like, hey, you got to get up, keep moving. I mean, Tom Brady lost a game here and there. But they kept winning. And then just same thing. My wife and I don't have the perfect relationship. But the thing is that when we strive to be better every single day, it may look like something different than what we may be going through. Like my mama raised my brothers and I, hey, you could be living in the project, don't mean you have to look like it. Even though I look like it a lot. But as you see me today, you probably never known. I had people tell me, I never knew that you grew up in that way.
No, I would have never.
You would never known that.
When we first started talking, I mean, we met. You showed me I got my sock business,
all this
and
stuff.
that, and then when I hear your story in the pocket, I'm like, they ain't the same guy I met.
But the fact is, when you ask the question about how do I get out of that, move forward, is the fact of knowing that I know my place, I know my role. I can't stay there. I got to get up, move forward.
Well, as we wrap this up, I want you to give some people some advice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you some questions. I want you to give people advice because this is coming out New Year's. We're bringing in New Year. What would be 3 things you would tell somebody to do to try to make their 2025 a bit more successful than 24? Give me some strong advice. What would you tell them?
No, I'm going to give you right now. So I'm glad you – see, I use
I didn't read that.
I know you didn't.
Yeah.
But I use everything. I encourage everyone, utilize what you got.
Okay.
So, we're always talking about, I don't have this, I don't have that. I need to write something down. Man, I write on a napkin. I write on anything. To get my thoughts out like it needs to be. So I use what I got around me. So this is a tithing offering envelope. So tithe offering. But number one, man, realize a favor is special and it's not fair.
Okay.
Favor is, understand, if you walk a life as a favorite individual, if you walk in a light of favorability, and it's not going to be fair all the time. So just because you may be doing something right, someone might be doing, look at you, hey, if you're not doing something right, you won't have no haters. So you need to have some haters anyway, so you know you're doing it right.
Okay.
Favor isn't fair. So understand you walk in favor. Walk in some favor and knowing that you're supposed to be in the room. Next, man, understanding community is important. Who you surround yourself with in 2025 is what's going to elevate you to where you need to go.
Okay.
If you're still in the same spot doing the same thing, you may need to get a new accountability party. You need to get around a new set of people, a new community, so you can grow and go where you try to go when you write it down on that paper. The Bible said, make a vision, make it plain. Write it down.
Write your vision. Yeah.
Make it plain.
Yeah.
How you going to have a vision and you never wrote it down?
That's true.
How you going to have a house and build a house off the memory, but you never even set it out on paper yet?
Yeah. Blueprint. Yeah.
Blueprint.
Yeah.
Don't forget the day of small beginnings. Don't forget the day of small beginnings. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Remember what you went through in 2024, so it make you better in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Those small beginnings are important because people think, oh, I need something bigger. No. Remember when you had to set up the mics yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Remember you had to put the lights up yourself?
Yeah.
In 2025, when you have a whole staff going, and then you got an actual Spotify, somebody speaking into existence, Spotify saying, hey, we want to give you this check to take your father series further in bigger heights. Remember the small beginnings because that's what got you there. So if you stay consistent, the last thing, staying consistent. Stay consistent with the small things, and with those small beginnings, the bigger things will come behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to stay consistent.
Well, I like that, man. I think the thing that hit me the most is small beginnings, because I looked at when me and Jim recorded our first podcast episode, we just had a little banner on the wall, and I got that picture upstairs, and I look at that and remember like where we started and how many podcasts we've done over the years, going in 3 years. And even though I fussed myself, I said I should be over 100 episodes I would have had over 100 if I've been consistent, but I'm thankful for what I have now, because I've had people come up to me and say, man, when you going to record again? I've been enjoying listening to your podcast. And there's people that I never thought was listening to what I would say. They say, man, you always interesting. So I think being consistent and also being able to be accountable for the things. And then I will say this, and you agree with me, is why it's so important not to hold on to bad failure. Like I could man, I failed to this and I still hold on to that. Because somebody told me, Marcus, just because you stopped the after school doesn't mean you're a failure. Because I felt that.
Right.
I felt that I failed. I had a business. It was going great. We was going through struggle, but I failed because I closed. Why is it important as we close this out not to hold on to failure?
Let me ask you this while we close this out. What could you think?
Jim, you say you flip it out on me.
What's that one thing you think you could have done better to make that situation stronger, so in the future you're gonna have a more successful family center?
Playing better.
There you go. That's exactly what I was.
Yeah, I was planning better.
And how do you plan?
Taking time out. I don't even know, Troy. That's a great question. I just tell people what I'm thinking in my head and go from there. So I've never really thought about planning.
You just said it. Thinking in your head. What's the one thing that you do different besides thinking in your head?
Writing it down.
There you go. All right, Jim. Let's go ahead and do what we need to do.
Dude, I love you as my brother, man, because you're the only one can get me to do that, and I don't get triggered, Jim. Because I will get triggered if somebody else told me that. But he cannot. He don't do that, man. So I would tell you personally, thanks for being a good friend.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of my closest friends. I don't have a whole bunch of like close people that I could tell some of my personal business, and I know it don't go nowhere. You've been that guy, and I know you've been that, Jim. I don't fuss about my business, and you don't know how many times I've called you saying I quit.
What did Jim say?
Jim, no. Jim is my brother, man. Because Jim, I wouldn't be doing this podcast without Jim. And I told Jim, wherever this thing goes, how high it goes, Jim is gonna be there with me. There ain't gonna be I need another producer. No, if Jim ain't there, I ain't there. That's why we did Opryland. I told him that when we did the podcast Opryland. Jim ain't there, I ain't there.
It makes sense.
And I appreciate you.
And don't mess that up.
No, I ain't going.
No. I'm just saying, don't mess it up. Meaning, remember that.
Yeah.
Because what happened is once we do get the check, they said, well, we got this guy we want to use, blah, blah. You got to remember those things because they will come. And you'll be challenged to make that decision.
Nah, I'm loyal, man.
That's good. That's good.
But this happened before through another part. Another guy came and told me, you can record here and you don't even need Jim. I
done said. I said, what you need, Jim? You got the what's name for? You got this, the roadcast, blah, blah. But when I seen what Jim did with you, it makes sense.
Yeah, I just wouldn't.
But that's why you need.
I need Jim.
Hey, Jim, I'm being straight up honest. Because when you got a team or somebody that helps you do it, it does go smoother. So when you think about the fact, you can do it yourself. You right. I did it myself, but am I recording right now? No, because I'll let come along with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you got a person that actually know how to put it all together. Yeah. So it all come together later. Don't forget that they're small beginnings.
Yeah. And Jim pushes me. He was like, man, when you gonna record again? When you gonna record again? I was like, Jim, and I've counseled on how many recordings, but you know what? He's always been there for me. So Jim, I thank you too. That's why I always shout him out to everyone. So let's wrap this up, Jim. But thank you so much, man, for all you've done for me over the past year. Even though you fussed at me the first time I called you,
you went off on that. But
I'm gonna say on that. I'm gonna say on that. Cause I was like, who he hollering at?
All I said is, what do you need?
And I was like,
I don't need nothing. That's what y'all do.
Did I say that?
No. What I know in your mind, you was thinking, I don't need nothing. I don't even know you like that. That's exactly what you. I don't even know him. Like, who you think he talked to like that?
I probably wanted to say that.
I just said, what do you need? And I'm gonna help you get there. That's all I said.
I don't know why I got mad. I was going to play some golf and I called you and that triggered me so quick. And I said, you know what? And not knowing this would be one of my closest friends. So Jim, let's close this out. But thank you so much. Hey, where can people find all your material at as we close this out?
All right, so you go to YouTube, Mostmoto, MOSTMOTO 365 on YouTube. And then Troy M. Smith 35. Troy, TROYMSMITH, the number 35 on all social media.
What can they buy your book?
On TroyMSmith.com. You find TroyMSmith.com, you do all this stuff. Well, TroyMSmith.com.
And get Troy to speak on your podcast, wherever, man. Excellent speaker. I was just happy you come back and do another episode with me because I'm definitely bringing you back for our Father's Day series where I'm going to have a group of guys.
Okay.
And we're going to be in a circle talk. It's probably going to make Jim laugh the most at that one. We have all guys and we all have different topics on fatherhood, man. So we're going to do that in May. So I'm going to bring you back in May. So happy New Year, man. I hope 25 be the best year for you. And continue to grind, continue to grow, man, because I watch you all the time. So anytime I see you speaking, I'm gonna see what he's gonna say, see what I can use and steal from him.
Yeah, I probably don't use it from somebody else. Ain't nothing new.
Well, thank you guys for listening to the Strong in My Father podcast, your most trusted podcast that's centered around restoring fatherhood in America. Hey, if you like what you hear, please click the subscribe button on our YouTube page. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So click the like button. And also, if you like what you hear and you want to leave a small donation to help pay for the production of this podcast, go to our website, stronginmyfather.org/donate and leave a donation. We definitely need your support to keep us going in 2025. God bless you. See you on another episode of Strong in My Father podcast.